Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and others. And now, let's talk Tech Talk.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Tech Talk. This is a live show where we help your IT business grow. So, I'm your host, Phil Griffiths.
I'm Jenny, and I'm the boss.
Yeah, she's definitely the boss in more ways than one. And today's episode is number 125, and the show is titled You Know It Makes Sense. So, obviously, we're going to be talking about, distributors today and why you should be using them. And we've got basically three main guests on tonight to talk about that. But before we do, can people actually let us know in chat that you can actually hear us
and see
us? Because otherwise this is going to be a long, boring night if we're just talking to ourselves. So,
hi, Cormac.
It doesn't. Ireland doesn't count, Cormac. Sorry, no Irish people.
King of Ireland.
Yeah, there we go. So again, if you do come up as a Facebook user, click the link I've just put in chat, which is chat.restream.io/FB. That'll allow your name to be shown rather than coming up as Facebook user, like the person who just says, "Hi, Phil, can hear you and see you." If you don't want to click the link, obviously note down who you are. So whoever it is saying good evening from Norfolk. Lovely to see you all. We've also got Richard Creedy on there as well. We've got Ian on there. And that looks like it for now, who's commenting. So again, guys, if you do want to comment tonight, you've got any questions, general questions, basically. We want to you're asking questions what all three of these people can obviously answer. Yeah, you can send in one or two specific if you really want to, but we want to obviously get Dave, Mike, and Michael basically fighting against each other and telling you why you should be using them rather than their competitors, because they all hate each other, and you'll see that in a few minutes. So let's go in order. So Dave, if you want to introduce yourself first, let everyone know who you are, what you do, and obviously what company you work for.
And so I'm Dave. I'm head of purchasing at VIP. So if you don't already work at VIP, we're a distributor of gaming components primarily. Everything from top tier vendors, AMD, Zeus, Gigabyte, MSI, all the way down networking brands, and basically anything that goes in a PC, we distribute it. And I'm in charge of managing the vendor relationships and buying all the stock, basically.
Okay, so anything that goes in the PC. I've seen some weird things over the years, so I might speak to you about that in a bit. But there we go. So let's go on to the next person on the list. So Michael. So Michael, if you want to introduce yourself, that's obviously Michael Lawrence. Let everyone know who you are, where you work, and so forth.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Evening, everybody. So I'm Michael Lawrence. I'm the Managing Director of Target Components. Hopefully met most of you at our show or at the TechMax show. And we are also a distributor, very similar to my colleagues from VIP and Spire.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, we can see a comment now, Alison. So good evening, Alison in Norfolk. That's at EADR. Let's move on to Spire spelt backwards. Right, Mike. So if you want to introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are, what you do, and why Spire is spelled backwards.
You'd think I'd be able to lay my hands on a half-decent webcam, wouldn't you?
You would.
But there you go. I'm on my phone. So yeah, my name's Mike. I'm the Sales and Purchasing Director at Spire. Been with the company 17 years. We've been going as long as 33 years. And as the guys have said, we all do a very similar thing, distributor of components. I guess flagship brands for us are the likes of Asus, Corsair, and TP-Link.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So again, everyone who's watching, if you've got any questions, general questions, why should you buy from them rather than, let's say, Amazon? If you want to chuck PC World's name, Curry, or whatever they want to be called these days, name in there as well, feel free. Any online distributors out there, what you may get your stuff from, rather than these guys or e-tailers, why should you use these guys? Just basically asking a question, or if it's just general things, we always get one. There'll be someone out there who asks, do you have to be VAT registered? If you want to be that person, feel free to ask that question. So first of all, before we go any further, we're just going to go on to our news section for now. So let me just put us on full screen. Here we go, Jen.
I'm your reporter on site, Jenny Griffiths. All right. I have some shout outs. We had some people join up TechMax this week, and that was Spire. Mike Botto is here from Spire tonight. So Spire has joined up to come to TechMax 24. Um, Also, Origins. I don't know if you've heard of Origins. They are new to the TechMax family. You probably know Hits, though. Hits used to work at CMS. He also used to work at Gigabyte. Hits gets around. So that's where he is now, Origins. And so hello, Hits, and hello, Stuart at Origins, and thank you for signing up. Also, Norton has signed up with us. And for you that may or may not know, that is Pete Johnson that used to be at Boulevard. So he's now at Norton. And those are the ones that have signed up this week. I'd also like to give a small shout out to Jay the PC guy. Get well soon.
Okay, nice one. Let's just go through a few things on the TechMax website. So, distributors what have actually signed up. So, we've got TechPoint Distribution, we've got EADR, Replace Base. We've also got vendors as well. We've got Aerocool, Case King UK, Strong as well. We've got Kingston Technology, which has also signed up recently. We've got Bugs and Bytes Computing. If you're not sure who they are and you attended last year, we
That's Ben Ashcroft.
Ben Ashcroft, that was it. I was trying to remember his last name. He was the one with the Amigas on his stand. You've probably seen him in the show. Obviously, Spire have just signed up. So, obviously, Mike will probably tell you a bit more information about what they're planning on bringing and so forth. Again, a lot of these distributors will be bringing other vendors and stuff with them. Obviously, there will be a few more names to go. You've got Origin, which Jen spoke about, which is Origin Storage. Which do memory, SSDs, and a few other bits and bobs. We also had Seasonic sign up this week as well.
Oh, was that this week?
Yeah, so they've just signed up as well, which is a waiting logo. We are hearing a sort of gurgling noise coming from somewhere, so
I don't see anybody with glass or anything.
Okay, sounds a bit strange. We've also got Strimplify, Ducky, Thunder X3, ISL Online, ALM, Wholesale, obviously VIP, which we've mentioned in the past, and they're on the show again today. Recycle Your Tech as well. There are others which aren't on this list yet because we haven't finished all the paperwork and so forth. For example, Target have committed. They said they are coming, but we're still obviously working out all the details and how they're going to be showing off different things and so forth. So you should be all right there. So otherwise, that's pretty much covers it for the Tech for Tech's website. There is discounts on the bottom for hotels for anyone interested in hotels. It's 21st of June. Tickets are from 99p. So if you are interested in turning up, then just sign up. We've got a few evening tickets left, plenty of daytime tickets. So if you are wanting to attend, it should be able to fit you in. We also have media turning up. We've got the PCR magazine or online or whatever incarnation you want to call them as. They are attending. We've also got Kit Guru, and we've also got some other media partners what we're in the process of talking to as well. So that should be pretty interesting.
Also in the process of hiring some entertainment for the event. And, it'll be there for those of you on the night that don't want to network and you'd rather, have something else going on. And I'll tell you more about that when the time
once
comes.
it's finalised, but we want something where you can actually network as well while doing it in a fun way. So
do it quietly.
Once that's finalised and signed off, we'll let you know. So let's quickly go through, put the chat back on, go through that before we go back on to the main topic. So we've got Dan saying evening, guys. So hi, Dan. I have a feeling I know who that is. We've got
Dan
Russ,
the man.
Yeah, we've got Russ George. I have a feeling I know who that guy is as well, unless it's someone else called the same. We've also got William at Build IT on the Isle of Man. So that's good. And we've got a question from Richard, which I'll read out in a few seconds. So, right, guys. So if you haven't figured out already, the show is basically talking about distribution and why you should buy from them rather than going to Amazon and so forth. So do you guys want to start off with a piece first? So just right before we go on to a question, why you think people should buy from yourselves, and then we'll go on to any questions what come through. So let's start off with Dave. So Dave, you're at the top of the list. You're the first one in tonight. So Dave, what's your views? What's your general view on why people should buy from you? Then obviously the likes of the online
e-tailers,
yeah. We won't pick any specific
specify any
names.
names like we mentioned earlier. Amazon, current scan, clockers. So there's three layers, I suppose, to buying online, right? There's I think you mentioned in the original thing there was online Delboy was one of the briefs mentioned. So there's the too good to be true angle that you see pricing at, and that's you might see that on eBay or Amazon Marketplace sometimes. And those guys you won't want to buy from them because something shady's going on. Whether the product's dodgy, it's not what you think you're buying. It's those SSDs that actually turn out to be a flash drive, that sort of thing. So that's the sort of thing. I don't think anyone would even try to compete with that. I don't think any of you guys running businesses would want to put your business at risk by buying something that is obviously too good to be true. The next level up is something that's mysteriously 20% too cheap, because that means someone somewhere is not paying the VAT. And again, that's something that I don't think anyone in business wants to get involved with because there's a liability issue. And then the next level, which is the one we should probably really talk about, is that when they're a bit cheaper than you're seeing at Disti, which is ties into Richard's question over there, which is, sometimes you will see pricing on the likes of Amazon or the likes of one of the online e-tailers where product is a little bit cheaper than you can see from your distributor. And honestly, if it's 1 or 2 units, you probably should buy from the online e-tailer. You probably should buy from the likes of Amazon because it's 1 or 2 units and they're pretty simple and quick to buy from. And you're effectively buying a similar quantity to what you'd see from, for an end user. It's when you start buying regularly, when you're buying volume, that's where the distributors should come in because we can offer you pricing support. We can offer you guaranteed warranties because the product will be from our region and not from out of region like some online stuff can be. We can put you in touch with the vendor and get you guaranteed supply, ongoing support. And that's where it's the whole relationship piece that a distributor can offer. And yet our pricing should also be in line. So, but that should be on a holistic approach rather than just on a one-off and a one piece here and there. That's kind of the angle I'd take.
Absolutely brilliant response. But before I go any further, I must say, I love that jacket you've got on.
I do too. I'm sitting here saying the same thing.
So the Pac-Man jacket, I'm going to say, it'll probably get done for copyright, but our old retail store, the Chips Computers, the logo was basically a Pac-Man symbol, but it was red instead of yellow, basically. I don't think anyone ever cottoned onto it.
They didn't.
I love the Pac-Man jacket, definitely.
It takes me right back to standing there in the TGNY in Greenville, Alabama, with quarters in my pocket, spending all day, quarter. And I could play forever on 1 quarter.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
That's when you had to stand the game.
That's it. I don't know. Right, let's move on to Michael at Target then. So, Michael, if you want to basically answer the same question, is basically generalize why people should basically buy from you yourselves, like a distributor rather than an online e-tailer. We're getting that echo again. I don't know where it's coming from.
Is it me?
I think it might have been you, Dave. Actually, I've just muted you and it stopped. So I'll keep an eye on it. But anyway, Michael, if you want to carry on with that question.
Yeah, sure. Let me know if the echo is me. I think if you think about the frustration that a reseller feels when they can buy cheaper from online e-tail than they can from distribution, amplify that by sometimes and you get the frustration that a distributor feels in the same position. I guess I could talk about the reasons what the things that distribution provides in terms of account management and service and returns and warranties. And I think over the course of the next hour, all of those things will come out. I think probably a couple of points I would raise as sort of general themes to think about as we go through this sort of session is, one would be the premise of cost versus value. So I can buy this a little bit cheaper from online than I can buy it from you. But do you get all of the value add and the wraparound service that distributors provide? And I think that I wouldn't argue that the service that any one distributor can provide is better than the other. We all offer maybe slightly different things, but there's all a value added service there different to what's online. I think the second point that I would draw out around this is a sense of loyalty as well. So that the IT industry, having come from a different sectors in distribution, I think the IT industry portrays possibly the least loyalty I've ever seen in a supply chain. And I think that I would love to join manufacturers in the same setting, talking about distribution versus e-tail and how they manage their brands. I'd pay to join that. I think it'd be fascinating. But I think that also the loyalty perhaps of resellers, perhaps the distribution, when distribution provides so much, versus the ability to buy online when that choice arrives, if it is, as Dave said, for that little bit cheaper. I think sometimes that we get asked a lot of questions, what are you going to do for us? And I think sometimes it's fair that we maybe expect a little bit back in return as well. So fascinating debate, could go on for a long time, this one, but there's a couple of thoughts to get us going.
Right, definitely some good points there, Michael, definitely. Guys, if you are asking questions, we'll get to them as soon as we can. Again, if you want to send an anonymous message or something like that, you've got my Facebook details. Send a message on there, because I do know some of you like to send messages and they don't, for whatever reason, want specific distributors knowing who you are or whatever. I don't know why, but sometimes you do. So, but feel free to message us.
I would just like to make a comment. Anytime I have needed one of my suppliers, whether it be Target, VIP, or Spire, or anyone else out there, just say I had a DOA product. I know I can call you guys up and say, look, it's DOA. I needed this yesterday. What can you do for me? I know that you'll help me out. And that means the world to me, because my customer out there who's expecting it today doesn't want to wait forever and a day for me to send it back to the company that made it for it to be, settled there. They want it worked out and all. So I really appreciate my distributors for what they do for me and sorting me out with returns and things like that. And I think everybody else out there in the audience will echo me in that value for money and customer service. You can't get that at places like the e-tailers like you can through proper distribution.
Yeah, okay, good points there, Jen. And if anyone in chat obviously has different views than that and thinks otherwise, and you want these guys to answer why they're not as good, obviously feel free. That's what they're here for. So feel free to ask these difficult questions you wouldn't normally do or wouldn't have the chance to. So let's go on to Mike next before we go to the question. So Mike, if you want to just generalize again, the question is, why should people buy from distributor like Spire rather than going to online e-tailers?
Yeah, look, I think the boys have covered most of it off. I think is that value add. I think at wholesale level, dealing in large volume, there's a place of distribution that's really obvious. You're buying in bulk. You're not going to go to the. We'll use Amazon as the kind of the continued example. You're not going to go to Amazon to buy in bulk. I think when we're talking about spends below that, at an indie level, which is obviously a real key part of what Tech for Techs is about, I think it is about that value add. I think the vast majority of you watching on will add value. We do the same. I don't think any of us as three distributors are box shifters. I don't think we see ourselves as that. We're not just a logistics company. We genuinely do offer a wraparound service. So I think that's really key. I think also the role of a distributor has become a lot more complicated in recent times. When I was in sales, it was very, very simple. There was a cost price on the system and there was a sale price or a guide price. It came in, you spoke to your customer, we sold it through. Things are more complicated now. There are rebates in the background, there are supported pricing, whether that's for SIs, whether that's for e-tailers, whether that's for independents. And to get the very best deal, I think account management is really, really key. A good account manager makes the difference for you and genuinely does add value. The list price that we put on the website isn't always the best price, and people might bemoan that and say, well, we don't have to pick up the phone or Skype or drop an email to get the best price. But actually, it is worth your while. And I think wherever you sit, whether you're an e-tailer, an SI, an indie, a man or woman in a van, there is access to support, but we can't list it all under one banner on a website. So I think, I think that relationship with an account manager is really, really key. And, you know, I've got a team here. We've got an average length of service. I bang on about it quite a lot, but we've got an average length of service of around about 9 years in the account management team. We've got a team of 15 strong. And their job is multifaceted. It is not just buy and sell. So yeah, I would encourage you to reach out and access and have those conversations if your account manager hasn't done that. And I'm sure there are facets of that both at VIP and Target as well, but certainly at Spire, that's very much the case.
Okay, very good. So definitely answers or puts a few things to people. We've got a few questions coming already. So we'll start off with Richard in a few seconds. But if anyone else does have any questions for these guys, please send them in. If you don't ask them, that's the only stupid question because you haven't actually asked it. So make sure you ask a question and these guys will answer it. And they're going to be maybe answering some tough questions. For example, we'll start off with Richard Overfield. So Richard's saying, too many times it is cheaper to buy components from the likes of, we'll name them, it's on the screen, Scan and Amazon, than it is from a distributor. Surely you guys have enough influence to stop this happening. Too many products which our customers can buy at a lower price, basically online. I won't read the full list, but that gives you a rough idea. Who wants to answer that one first?
Go on, I'll go for it.
Okay.
As Mike just said, it's not as simple as cost then sell. There are rebate programs, there are support programs. The majority of vendors have supported customer lists and they have supported pricing that goes out. And the problem you've got is that, together, collectively, I know that we all work with these vendors to say the smaller independent customers need support. They need to be able to compete in a marketplace that Amazon exists, in particular Amazon, because they're so prevalent. You need to be able to have a pricing that works so that a customer walks into your shop, picks up products off your shelf and doesn't immediately go on Amazon. It's stood in your store and go, yeah, but it's 10 quid cheaper on Amazon. I'll just buy it from there. Thanks, let me look at it, but I'm going to buy it from them. I know you can't have that. And we have this conversation with vendors all the time. The problem is, if Amazon take an order from that manufacturer, be it through distribution or direct, Amazon can buy 2,000 units. And it's very, very hard to work with the vendor consistently and say, I know that this independent retailer is going to buy 5, but can he have support equivalent to what you're giving to Amazon next week? Now, what we can do collectively is say, yeah, this guy's going to buy 5, but there are another 500 customers like him. And can we have a comparable level of support? Or can we have products that aren't available on Amazon that these guys can have that are just as good? Because it's not good enough to have a product that's available on Amazon and a product available in independent retail that is just a naff version of the one that's on Amazon, because again, it's not going to work for you. So these are ongoing conversations, and we have a certain degree of influence, but some of these are massive multinational companies that we're trying to persuade to give support to companies on the British High Street. So it's an ongoing battle, and it's an ongoing uphill battle, and we do have successes. I'm sure you've seen times when we are successful and you have products that you're making profit on and that either Amazon don't have, or Amazon don't have a competitive price on, or Currys don't have, or don't have a competitive price on. But I'm not going to say we win all the time, because we don't. It's a very hard conversation, and it's something that's constantly at our forefront, because you guys are the backbone of the UK market. You get it in front of more people's actually actual hands-on site view, and you get people interested in tech in a way that Amazon don't. Amazon's just a platform that people go on. So it's important for the UK market, but it's not an easy conversation for us to have.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Michael, do you want to add to that, or are you happy with that question?
I guess it's a slightly different take. One of the distributors have very high fixed costs. And in a month like December, where there's 16 trading days for us, our salary bill is exactly the same as it was in November, when there were 22 trading days and the market was a whole lot more buoyant. And if you look at scale in terms of size of business, even the 3 companies that represent on this call, I think Spire are circa 3 times the size of Target, and VIP are around about 6 times the size of Target. Scan are a similar size, and Amazon are so big I couldn't even do the math to figure that out. Scale's enormous in distribution. I previously worked for the biggest distributor in the security market, And if somebody got in our space, we ate them up. We could play the price game, we could play the credit game, we had a bigger line card, we had pretty much every tool we needed. In a business like Target, who is probably the smallest of the broader distributors in terms of offering a full range, as opposed to, say, just cases and cooling or just specializing in storage, for example. We try to offer everything, and it's very difficult to do so. To answer Richard's question, I would dearly love to have the ability to influence some of the manufacturers whose decisions baffle me. Mike and I actually, as much as we deeply hate each other and compete on the battlefield daily, had a conversation last week or 2 weeks ago talking about the behavior of one particular manufacturer in relation to e-tail, actually, that we believe wasn't playing necessarily by the rules. And actually, we sort of said, look, we need to come together here to register our joint frustration here, because actually this is affecting us both. I think neither Spire nor Target have any desire at all to compete on price in a race to the bottom. And actually, perversely, we probably see less of a price issue with Spire, even though we compete most closely than probably a lot of the online businesses do. So I think when you ask about what influence we have, I think that's one example where we need to club together more as distributors, and there's more that should be in this distribution community pushing back, actually, because I think we've got to respect what distribution brings into this supply chain, because I think that for a lot of the independent retailers, it'd be a lot harder for you guys to make profit without us.
Okay, sounds pretty good. What's your view, Mike, on that one?
Well, amen to everything Michael said, really. I don't think there's an awful lot. Thanks for putting me on third both questions, Phil. Yeah, look, as Michael said, we do reach out to one another, and we do push back. This is a constant bugbear of ours. And whilst we at Spire have worked very hard with some of our flagship brands to get schemes, as I've mentioned, for indies, and those exist behind the scenes that are accessible. When there's clearly foul play at work, we do carry an influence. You might be surprised, not as much influence as we like sometimes, but we do carry an influence, and we're in the process of resolving the issue that we spoke about last week. But yeah, as Michael says, were we to fall by the wayside as distribution, and that route to channel fall away, that's not a benefit to anybody in indie land, not at all.
Okay, some good points there, definitely. So, yeah, we'll move the order around now. So let's put Michael first, then Mike, and then Dave next for the next lot of questions what come in. But actually, the next question what come in is actually specifically for you anyway, Dave. So, and this was regarding to something you mentioned about Amazon. So this is from Richard Overfield again. I cannot believe you suggested buying from Amazon rather than a distributor. Everyone has to start somewhere to be competitive. Buying from Amazon rather than a distributor is like admitting defeat before you even get started. What's your view on that?
I mean, I will be clear. I would say if you're buying one unit, 1 or 2 units, end user level quantity, I wouldn't suggest. If it's recurring business, if it's ongoing business, then don't. But sometimes Amazon's price is good, their service is good, and if it's a very, very small quantity, I'm not going to tell you that it's not a good price. I'm not going to tell you that it's not going to get delivered to you quickly, because it is. So sometimes it's going to be an easier option for you to go, yeah, I'll just buy 1 unit here. But if you're going to have recurring business, then that's when you should be talking to your distributor. If you need one cable or 1 SSD and it's not going to come back, it's probably not going to hurt anyone to do that. But if your business is going to be using that stuff over and over again, then yeah, you don't want to be doing that, because, like as we just said, most of us and you are competing with Amazon, so you probably don't want to be buying from them on a regular basis, because you're not going to be able to compete absolutely if you're buying from them. But as a one-off here and there, it's probably not going to hurt anyone. Okay,
that's pretty good. Pretty good answer, Michael. You can add into that, yeah.
Just to say, at Target, we'll take the 1s and the 2s if anybody needs service. Might just make one serious point in the back of that. Actually, is Dave just hit on what for me was one of the really key points here. Is as an independent reseller, when you sell, Target aren't going to take your business, and they're not competing with the same customer base as you. We're trade only providers. When you buy from Amazon, you're kind of feeding what is ultimately probably your biggest competitor. And I guess it probably comes back to my part about loyalty. And I see in the comments, Richard feels incredibly strongly about this. It's probably my most impassioned topic that my team get most fed up with me ranting about. But I do think that sense of loyalty flows from how manufacturers work with distributors, how distributors work with resellers, where resellers choose to buy from. If I was to scroll through the Tech for Tech's channel on Facebook tonight, for example, I'm convinced I will find as many references to a product that I can buy on Amazon slightly cheaper than I could buy from distribution. But I'll find similar, what is your distributor doing for you? And I think it would be wrong of the distribution sort of when we've had a chance to get our voice here tonight. It would be wrong of us not to say actually that we kind of deserve a little bit back in that sense as well. It's certainly a frustration. I won't put words in others' mouths, but it's certainly a frustration for me that isn't always a level playing field.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point there. One of the things is with single items, it is going to be hard wherever you're going to get them from to get, obviously, a distributor to compete against an retailer if it's one item. The whole idea of using a distributor, in my eyes, is you're buying multiple items. You give your account manager a call saying, right, I'm buying one CPU, blah, 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 10 motherboards, whatever, or even if it's just one full build, and they can then basically come back to you and give you a combined price of everything together a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Another thing we used to do when we used to have the retail store is try and keep away a lot of the time from products like to be sold on the likes of Amazon. I know it can be quite hard, but there's certain things what can't be or aren't, like for example security, some types of security and different things, because then the customer can't turn around to you and say, right, I'm going to go and renew it at PC World, I'm going to renew it at Amazon, blah blah blah. They ain't got a choice basically. Or you do a bundle system where you include it with a service. So if we were going to be obviously selling an SSD to them, then we'd do it as a service. We'll include installation or whatever it is. If it's a memory, we'll include installation. We'll include a backup for you. We'd include something into the price. Not necessarily giving something away for free, but obviously making it sound like they're getting a deal out of it. So sometimes I don't think we're ever going to retail stores compete 100% against the likes of Amazon, and distributors are going to struggle as well. Distributors, I've been to Spire, I've been to Target, we've been to other distributors. Their warehouses are quite big.
Yeah.
They're not Amazon size, and Amazon's got multiple warehouses. And there's no way they can stock all the goods, all the amount of goods. Probably some of the goods like Amazon sell, probably one line can probably fill up something like Target or Spire's warehouse because of the amount of different items they have in. So it can be a bit hard for them to compete. But generally, if you get all these products together, like if you order multiple ones, we always found cool in our account manager, whoever or wherever it was, then they'd be able to go through each item on the list, and usually they'd find some sort of incentives or whatever where they could actually offer it out cheaper or at least at the same price. And then obviously you've got the benefits that come with that. That way you know where actually the stuff's coming from and that it is genuine as well.
Now, I have to admit, I'm not an angel. I'm guilty of the one-off Amazon order. And that's because I didn't have a big order for distribution that day. And someone would have come in with a dead SSD. And I need to quickly replace the SSD, get Windows going on it. So I would have made an A to Z SSD order, pop it in the laptop the next day, delivery free. And I'm guilty of that because it was quick, it was needed, and I was probably going to get charged the delivery fee with distribution more than just quickly doing it that way. Yeah. So, I've done that before. I won't say I haven't because I have. But there's a time and a place for everything. But if I'm doing a really big order, like a system build, or I need a laptop or something like that for customers, printer, inks, whatever, I always went through distribution.
But don't get me wrong, I've even been to that store what won't take the PC out of your world before to get parts because I've had issues, needed something there and then. Sometimes you have to take those chances. And
you do what you have to.
So let's quickly go on. So we've got Facebook user. So Facebook user saying, I prefer buying from distance because of the traceability. We don't get many warranty claims, but when we do, it's great to go back to the original disty to get replacements. When it comes to buying from e-tailers, they don't usually have the tech. Let's have a have a look. It doesn't tell you the exact thing. Doesn't have the tech backup, basically, is the last bit what it should have said on there. So, yeah, a good statement there. Definitely traceability. That's a good thing. Something I just mentioned there. You know where you're getting the stuff from. Also, if you do have a pile of returns to send back, you can send them all back in one go and so forth. Not that you should get a pile, but it depends on how much you're doing.
And it depends on the product.
Yeah, it depends on the product. And now here's a view from Russell George, who, if you don't know, he likes to state it quite often. He works for the Lexar. Basically, Lexar manage distribution very clearly. We do sell on Amazon, but never under a distributor price. That allows their resellers to make a profit versus Amazon. Obviously, we'll have to let the distributors tell us if that's true or not. I'm pretty sure Russell's right there because he does use distributors, not on here actually. So, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty accurate on there. So I know a few places what do that. Do you find that a lot of distributors, guys? Different vendors do that. They will not sell to Amazon for less than they sell to you guys, or is that sort of a one-off thing you tend to see?
I think it varies massively on the brands. If we're talking global brands who will have pan-European arrangements, and it's a little more complicated. So I think it's a key part of what all of us as distributors are doing, trying to make sure we have the right lineup for our customers. So there's a mix of those key brands that people come into store and want, and also those brands that are going to offer more value and more margin for you as a reseller, and ideally for us as a distributor. I really hate Amazon, like with a passion. I refuse to buy off Amazon and have done for years. I think they're the biggest threat to us, but they're also the biggest threat to our resellers. And I think, I think I can say with some degree of confidence we're the only distributor, or one of the only distributors out there, that have never sold on Amazon under either Spire or an affiliate company. I genuinely cannot stand them. And I think the relationship that exists between us, I'm sure all of us, right? But us and our resellers is a symbiotic one. So, if our customers are succeeding, we're succeeding, and vice versa. If you as independents that are watching on go pop tomorrow, that's a success for Amazon. That's not an issue to them, whereas it's a huge issue to us. I just think that's really, really key.
Okay, that sounds a pretty good response there. So I just had a vendor texting me, sending me a message on LinkedIn. Then I thought it was to do with the show. So the guys at TP Link are watching it. So right, okay. So let's go on to the next question on there. So we've got Facebook user saying good evening all. I'll say it again. If you are coming up as Facebook user, make sure you click the link. I'll put it on the scrolling thing at the bottom of the screen in a second. That way you will be able to get your name shown. So there we go. So it'll be at the bottom of the screen. You can see it now. If you're watching for Facebook group, click this link, or at least type in chat.restream.io/FB. Allow your name to be shown. So next up, we've got William. He's wrote me an essay here. So he's saying, he was replying to Richard Overfield. He's saying, you have to bear in mind that Amazon often discount a product below other retailers' prices to shift units from their warehouses to make room for other stock. Excuse me. Certain brands also sell for 50% of their total unit volume through the Amazon platform. So Amazon get a set the best price for them smaller disties. Okay, I'm not going to go any further from that, but I think we get the gist of that one. So it's basically saying the way Amazon work. He also says, what do you see as a challenge for the distribution industry in 2024? Well, this is an interesting one. Shipping costs, manufacturing price hikes, boats stuck in canals, anything like that. So we'll go to you this time, Mike.
One that is seemingly on the horizon is the price of NAND. So I think SSD and RAM prices are going to increase quite significantly in Q1. So I would keep an eye on that. In terms of challenges, I don't see shipping costs. We've signed a deal already to honour our shipping costs into reseller, and I think the price of containers has come down significantly on what it was. So actually, I'm nervous to say it, but the future looks fairly bright going into 2024. I think it is. A show like tonight is really, really helpful. I think it is making sure that our resellers understand that there's space for everybody. Both with large e-tailers, indies, SIs, and so on and so forth. And I think communicating effectively to each and every one of those resellers how they can best make the most of their distributor. I think that's our biggest challenge. We sell to 1,200 different resellers a month. So communicating that effectively and making sure that we're constantly not only communicating that out to reseller, but also, as we've discussed quite a lot tonight, pushing back on vendor and ensuring that everybody can compete. That's probably our biggest challenge. It's like I say, it's a much more complicated setup than it has been in previous years, I would say.
Okay, good response there. Do you have anything to add, Michael or Dave?
It's hard going second, isn't it, Mike? I actually fully agree with your point, Mike, about I think the supply chain outlook is more promising going into 24 than it has been over the last 3 years, where it's been quite turbulent. And the thing that gets us isn't necessarily it's the volatility that gets us. It's not necessarily the fact that it moves; it's how quickly it can move. If you think about exchange rates, container prices, shipping costs, etc. But I think that bit looks better. I think the thing that's really interesting is I think the market's been suppressed for about the last 2 years. I've been in this industry for about the last 2 years. I think the expectation is that it's always going to be better after Christmas in the new financial year, etc. And I guess there's a question mark for me as to whether it will. And I think that the pressure that the consumer has feeds onto the pressure the reseller feels. That pressure's felt in distribution, it's felt in manufacturing, and I think that's why you see some decisions and some actions taken that don't necessarily make the most long-term commercial success, because everybody's got a shareholder or an owner or a partner who needs to make money. So I think what the market does in next year is really interesting, and the only piece I would add onto that is what will competition be like as a result of that? If market demand remains suppressed and none of us didn't go into next year with a budget that's got some growth associated to it, I doubt there's anybody that's planning to say, wouldn't it be great if we just did the same amount? And I think how people are going to achieve that growth and the lengths they'll go to, if the market doesn't support a general uplift, that could be pretty interesting, actually.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Do you have anything to add on to that, Dave?
Yeah, it is rubbish going third as well. It's not good, is it? Yeah, I agree with both the mics, obviously. Really good points from both. The only thing I would point is there is a challenge, distribution and a lot of industries, to be honest, which is interest rates. So anyone who's involved in any borrowing as part of their business has seen the line after the EBIT get more important than it has been for anyone who's the past few years where the I was almost irrelevant and now interest is huge, right? And so particularly in distribution, where we're in between two bits of credit, where we get credit from our suppliers to buy the stuff, and then we're offering credit to our customers, the bill there has grown quite significantly, and that can impact everyone's cash flow. And obviously all our customers are being hit by that as well, because their cost of borrowing has just gone up, and end users, the cost of borrowing has gone up. And that drives different purchasing habits. So that has a knock-on effect to where they buy, what they choose to buy, when they choose to buy. But that said, it does seem we're in a bit of a buoyant period, and I'm pretty hopeful for the next 6 months, particularly based off the last 2 years. It seems like we are on the way up. But yeah, keep an eye on NAND, as Mike said at the beginning. That's going mental at the moment, and it's forecast to go very, very high.
Some good tips there. We've got Dan, who's trying to hijack the show, I think, from CMS Distribution. For some reason, he didn't want to be on tonight. Oh dear, I'll get him in trouble now. But he 100% agrees on the comment regarding rebates, etc. As I know we're not on the show tonight, unfortunately, but he basically wants to say that the fact that it's always worth a conversation around pricing with your account manager, because then obviously they can go back to the vendor for vendor support and so forth, which I must admit we've had in the past to a certain, we were called up and says, look, and then the distributors contacted the vendor, and the vendors come back and says, yeah, we can do this or whatever. So that's always an option. So yeah, good tip there, Dan. Make sure you get on the next show though, mate. Okay. So
I'll Skype him.
Oh yeah, you tell him off tomorrow. You tell him off tomorrow. So we've got evening all. So from ILGS, which is I Love Going Shopping. How we're doing, guys? We've got Cormac. So I also appreciate the conversation of being able to direct. Okay. I also appreciate the convenience and the convenience of being able to directly call my sales accounts managers. Yeah, definitely a good point there, Cormac. We've got Richard again. So, do you think manufacturers in the long term are shooting themselves in the foot by not allowing smaller retailers to compete on a level playing field? If we cannot sell a product at a fair price, we will not hold it in stock, and the brand becomes less. I'm guessing that's going to say less relatable or something along that line. So he's basically saying that obviously the vendors aren't going to get stuff bought from them by the independent resellers. So what's your views on that, guys?
Yeah.
Dave first. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's again, it ties into all the conversations we've been having with our vendors, with the manufacturers. There's a reason that the British independent market is so mature. In fact, the British IT market is so mature. We've got a huge breadth and a huge amount of resilience in our market, and it's because we've got so many independent resellers, and then all the way up, the stack into the big guys that we don't really want to sell to at the moment that we're talking about today. But the UK IT market is a very, very mature market. Part of the reason is manufacturers who do well in the market sell to everyone. They have a lot of resilience. If you're only selling to the big guys, you end up in their pocket. There are vendors who have a share on, I think someone mentioned in a comment, they have a share on Amazon of over 50%. Once your product is primarily sold on Amazon, Amazon gets to tell you what to do. Amazon gets to tell you, actually, you know what, you're paying for this privilege now because we can turn you off as a product, and suddenly half your business is gone. We need to have exclusivity in other countries as well now, please. And so vendors who know what they're doing build some resilience into their model, and if they don't do it, they are absolutely shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I'm going to say I've seen vendors do this before. There was one specific one who had orange in the logo, and that's as far as I'll go, who I remember. And they got built up with the distributors and so forth. And then basically they tried going Amazon, undercutting everything. And it's like, oh, yeah, but we'll sell like specific ones to distributors and so forth, and different ones to Amazon. And then they're not competing. But that went pretty much tits up, to be honest with you. Excuse the language.
The company.
And the company did as well, to my knowledge. I've not seen much of them around since, we had a few issues with them as well, but that's another story. So Richard is saying, sorry for going on about, but it's something he feels really strongly about. That's not a problem,
Well, you go, Richard. Yeah, if you're passionate about it,
exactly.
This is the place for it.
Yeah, I'm going to say your business, I've always said it, is like your child, basically something you bring up, grow up and so forth. You want to support it in every way you are, and you're going to be passionate about everything about it, and that's something that some distributors might not actually realise how passionate we are about our businesses, because it's actually part of ourselves. We're not working for a company; the company is part of us.
Yeah, I mean, we have nurtured it from when it was a tiny seed at Chip's Computers. Phil was, he remembers his first call out, taking it in the middle of Sainsbury's.
Yeah, I was going shopping with my mother at the time.
And he ran out and took the call and everything. And it was from that. And then I joined with Phil when we got married. Of course, I was doing builds in your bedroom before we got married. So, yeah.
Long time ago.
as his girlfriend, I would sit up there and build and listen to him talk to his account managers at the likes of Spire and Target. And what was the other one that you used that's no longer around?
Enter.
Yes. And I used to think he was flirting with these ladies. And I'd sit over there and get a straw on and hang up and ask him, did you have a good time flirting with her? You don't understand. I'm trying to get a lower price. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you are.
Just to clarify, if it was a bloke as well, I would have probably done the same thing as well to get a cheaper price. But it's nothing to do with that.
Mike at East Sunrise.
Yeah, okay.
Listen.
We've done it with a few others as well, probably. Right, okay. So let's go on to the next question before I get myself in trouble. Right, okay. So this is from Kenny Clever. It's at the end. As a retailer, as well as a B2B operator, I generally don't think we could do what we do without the distributors we use. The wraparound support that often makes a difference. I might not have the time to put full B2B quite together, but my account manager can help prep most of it, helping with admin, advertising, etc. Isn't that a nice one? Thank you for that comment, Ken.
Shout out to Ken and Prince tonight.
There we go. Looks like Ken's also saying working with a disty is a two-way street. If we don't use them, we will lose them. I occasionally buy one or two of something, mainly because it's not something that I'm presuming he's saying he buys off of Amazon or elsewhere because we can't get it or whatever. So yeah, definitely there. If you don't, it's like anything. If you don't use them, the same as independent retailers, the stores on your high street and stuff. If you don't use them, they disappear. It's simple as that. And distributors are no different. We've
And
got
look at the high streets; they are ghost towns now.
yeah, some of them are.
When I
So,
first came to Chesterfield, it was a hell of a little market town. I mean, really. I mean, overflowing market stalls all up into the little side streets and everything. And now, if you walk into town, you might see 2 or 3 markets,
yeah,
and that would be it. And that wasn't combining the shops that we had. We had VHS, we had Co-op, Next, all sorts of big businesses in the middle of Chesterfield. And then VHS, well, it died, and everything. Then everybody else moved out to the
yeah,
retail park, and well, it just looks like a bunch of, well, I hate to say it, charity shops and empty stores.
yeah.
And
That's it.
and the
That's it.
same thing will happen with distribution if you don't support them.
Exactly. They'll disappear. If you just use Amazon, that'll all they'll be. Let's put it that way. So Richard Creed is saying, I run a micro business. I still buy from distribution when I need something for a customer, but it is very much as when needed, basically. Target have been okay with that for me for the past 10 to 12 years ish. So, okay, one up to Target there.
And just say if I'm not sure if there's a comment there that says it was okay and is it not anymore? It still is. Just to clarify.
Okay. That's
I
it.
think I understand what Richard is saying, that you've been, okay with them doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
that hasn't changed.
Richard and Tracy, they're good folks.
Yeah, they are. So we got another Facebook user saying, what is your opinion on eBuyer now acting as a distributor? We have seen pricing better than distribution over Black Friday. Good to hear your feedback too. So whoever wants to go first. Ooh.
I can kick it off.
Well, then, Michael.
eBuyer in this very fragmented IT industry supply chain that we operate, we have a number of businesses who act as a supplier, a customer, and a competitor. Now, eBuyer would sit in that group for Target. Interestingly, quite a few other businesses, distributors would as well. eBuyer's strategy, if I was running eBuyer, I think I'd probably be tempted to go down a similar route. I think there's an element of what manufacturers themselves will allow. And I think that sometimes if it's decisions that a distributor might make and might be able to make are sometimes influenced or even gifted to them by what manufacturers are prepared to do. I think the key in this scenario is that if you want to play in distribution, you've got to respect the rules, the written and the unwritten rules of distribution. There is a reason why tomorrow, if we want to have a really good day, we will go out and sort of deck the price on a number of items just to force through a good day tomorrow, because we know that we're doing damage to ourselves in the long term. And I would just encourage eBuyer to play by the same rules. Target can't influence whether they come into the distribution market. We can't influence if the Scan or Amazon, in the same way that I couldn't influence what Dave was going to do with VIP tomorrow. So I would just encourage eBuyer to respect the rules of the game and play accordingly. There's plenty of business there for us all.
Sorry. For some reason got muted that. Yep, so yeah, definitely brilliant comment there, response there. So, right, guys, we're pretty much coming up to the end of the show. If you've got any more questions, send them in quickly and we'll try and quick fire these guys if you're all right. So we'll try and go through them pretty quickly. So, question.
I just want to say this has been one of the most enjoyable shows that we've had lately for me.
Oh, okay, you're not just
Yeah.
trying to say that the other people I spoke to are boring.
No.
or anything.
I'm just saying that this is really a learning experience.
Okay, yeah, it's always interesting, the distributor ones, and there's always plenty of people watching as well.
Yeah.
Right, so next question. So this is a good one. So I'm talking about TP-Link a few minutes ago. Richard's mentioning TP-Link. I'm sure TP-Link introduced me to the Mercusys brand due to the lower pricing of TP-Link products on Amazon. So yeah, I think Mercusys, if I remember right, is their value brand. It was to compete with another brand, which I think we may have mentioned earlier, actually. And it worked well for a while, but Mercusys is now on Amazon at a lower price as well. Why? Anyone?
I'm happy to talk about TP-Link and Mercusys, Phil. I can say with some degree of confidence that if you speak to your account manager at Spire, you will not find us beaten on price on Amazon, on Mercusys or TP-Link. That's a big cast iron guarantee. We work very hard with TP-Link. They respect the channel enormously, despite their dependence to some degree on Amazon. They do a huge amount of business on Amazon, but they also have a lot of time and respect for the channel. So I would encourage people to reach out to their account manager and have those conversations. You should not be over the phone or through a dedicated account manager, should not be losing out on price to Amazon.
Okay,
it's a good
definitely
tip.
good answer there. So yeah, if you've got any TP-Link Mercusys needs, obviously Mike will be able to sort you out. If not, any of the other guys as well. Right. Okay. So next question is, Wilmer, you banned. That's it. So apparently he's watching from Spain, from a balcony, and it's currently 18 degrees Celsius. So yeah.
Have fun, Will, and I'm glad that you're tuning in tonight.
There we go. All the way from Spain. So we've got international watchers. Well, he's Scottish, but in Spain. We'll let him off. There we go. So good evening, guys. Lovely conversation. Dave, I love the Pac-Man jacket. Mike, I agree 100%. Distribution is all about the relationships. The closest you are, the better level. Sorry. Yeah. The closest you are, the better level of service and support you will get from the business. So better, obviously, type of support. So I'm reading the rest of it.
It's an essay.
Yeah, it's a bit of an essay, basically. So coming together, collaboration support is the key to be able to be successful. Both distribution and VARs need to focus on solution selling, bringing new technologies into the market, invest in their services portfolio, and support each other, and keep a healthy ecosystem for all of us to exist and grow together. That was from Facebook user, so there wasn't really a question there. It was more of a comment. So right, okay, so we've got William saying, have distributors ever approached brands for a bulk pay-it-forward style purchase? So if a massive e-tailer places an order of, say, 100 motherboards for X brand, they request 1% of them at the same supported price that smaller indie resellers. Has anyone heard of anything like that before?
Yeah, that's literally what we do with a lot of our brand, and I'm sure Mike might do a similar thing with the big vendors in order to get a similar price point, in order to get some support for them. If they're going to go do a level of support for one of the big e-tailers, we say, well, that level of support that you would give, we'll put X number of units into the independent retail channel. We'll limit it to customers who aren't selling on Amazon, because obviously some independent retailers do. Limit it to customers who are SIs, for example, sometimes. So we'll have a certain level of requirement with that vendor. But yeah, we can absolutely do that, and we do that. Not every vendor goes for it, but it's one of the tools that we can use to say, how can we get some support from your big multinational company into the British high street?
I like that.
Yeah, definitely good there. So that's good. Let's go on the next question then. So it's from the Irish guy again. So you may get an occasional SSD. It's like lower price on Amazon, but when it comes to laptops, desktops, which are the key items, they are not cheaper there. So yeah, some things it's like anything. Some things you can find cheaper in some places and better others, and probably find your distributors, especially with the likes of your laptops and desktops. They're probably getting the latest versions rather than on Amazon. They've obviously gone through distribution, probably then the reseller or whatever, and the prices may reflect that in the age as well. So I don't know what this one's about, but no, we don't want to block that person. Why is it coming up like that? All right, okay, so Dean Jenkins says, goodbye, Cougar. Is Cougar disappearing? Anyone know? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll let you tell us a bit more about that then, Dean.
Was he talking about Jenny?
Oh my
well,
God.
that's an interesting comment of the night. So I'm not going to say much on that one. We'll be having words with Mike tomorrow, I reckon. So
It made me laugh.
Okay, here's one for you, because I'm guessing this is because Will Murr is too busy sunning himself in Spain. He wants to know who can offer late ordering and Sunday delivery. Anyone?
We can offer 6 o'clock order cut-off for next day delivery. We can offer Saturday delivery and time delivery, but I don't think we can offer Sunday delivery. So, kind of.
Okay. Anyone better than that?
No, very similar. Very similar.
Yeah.
I think we all use DPD.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all playing by the same rules there.
Same rules. So unfortunately not. You'll have to look elsewhere, Will, or come back from Spain a day early. So
we got some comments.
Yeah, we'll just go on. We've got Kunil next. So let me come on, show. We see Scan following suit to eBuying joining distribution route. Yeah, I've seen a few things moving around there, nothing concrete or anything, but again, we'll see if something happens or not. So Dan is saying, on a side and joking note, can we club together and get Michael a colour webcam next time? Great show, guys.
Is that Dan of X Target Components? Is it?
I think that's the one. By the looks of it, it's the only one who I know who goes by.
He's the one I call Dan the Man,
and has no logo. So
well, Mike's goes backwards. Mine's black and white, and Dave stole the show. So
yeah.
I think Dave's is colour extra. I think the way he's got his on at the moment. So
it's made his hair go funny.
I know, yeah.
So right, we're getting to the end then. So we've got two more left. So let's have a look. I try and share orders between distributors. Appreciate Target and Spire. Good bunch. Looks like Will don't like you're there at VIP for some reason.
I know,
but
yeah. Surely he couldn't fit VIP.
I think you need to pitch to him.
Will's a good guy.
So William, Consumer Tech, is it? Yeah, that's it. And we've got William. He says, distributors, please come back each quarter and discuss things with us. It's useful for us to know the challenges we both face going forward and how we can work together to both benefit. Well, I'm happy to do that with these guys, William, if they're happy to do it with us. And they're also, again, this goes for any distributor and any vendor. If you want to come on the show, even if it's just about yourselves, we're happy for you, or give us a yearly update or something like that, because obviously we use distributors on a daily basis one way or another, even though we're still we're dealing more with our review side and the tech for tech side of things. We still need parts now and again, or the vendors ship us stuff through. I was about to say,
most of the time it's shipping through distribution to get something reviewed, whether it be a processor or a cooler or a motherboard,
fans, whatever,
or a chair.
Yeah, that's it. So
we've just started this quarter a quarterly business review with just a selection of resellers. So across different verticals and different types of customer who we invited down in November to come. We put them up in a not so sunny Bournemouth for a couple of nights. and took them for a night out. But they met with our shareholders and our directors to gather feedback. So like forums like this are great. But William, if you fancy a trip down to the South Coast sometime, we can get you on the panel for Q1.
Sounds like a winner.
So that's something for you there, William. And Ken's just beat us to the mark before we call it a night. Can we have a show with vendors, put them on spot with price and support through distis, etc.? Vendors are more of a difficult one, putting them against each other because they all offer slightly different things. And even if they're offering the same thing, like cases, then they're offering slightly different types of cases. So competing against each other might be a bit harder, but it's something we'll look into. And if they are interested in doing
if you have a certain vendor that you want on a show and you have a contact for them, send them to me in an email, Ken, and I'll do my best to get them on.
Yeah, or just hound them and tell them they need to be on the show. Because most of them we have contact with. Some of them are a little bit too shy.
Yes.
There's one or two watching tonight, which I know which are a bit too shy as well.
And some distributors are a little bit too shy
as
well.
So let's have a look. So we've got Kuno just saying, our top distributors very supportive. Thanks, Spire, Target, and VIP. All our account managers have been very helpful. So that's good.
It's always good to hear.
Right, we're pretty much at the end of the show. Just before we do, I'm going to let you guys just wrap up. Let's just do final thoughts. If you've got anything you want to add on there. Mike, you're always complaining about being last or in the middle. You're going first this time.
Look, I haven't really got a great deal to add. Just to thank both yourself and Jenny, Phil, for inviting us on. Forums like this are hopefully helpful to resellers, but they're invaluable to us as well to hear where folk are coming from. So, from everyone at Spire, have a great Christmas and a peaceful time of it, and we'll be back at it in the new year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and to you.
Go to Dave.
Cool. Just one thing I didn't mention, and I'll get a chance to mention earlier. I think everyone's mentioned partnership with customers is really important. One of the things that pays off in is when stock goes short. So every year something goes short. There's some sort of issue, some sort of disaster. There'll be a volcano in a factory somewhere, or productional damage, or there's some sort of trade war between the US and China. Something happens, something goes short. We, and I'm sure both Mikes do the same thing, we try and allocate to customers who have been long-standing partners where we can, work with the vendors to make sure there's allocation of stock, and we don't scalp our customers in the same way that certain online retailers do when stock goes short, where pricing just rockets up and up and up and up and up, and they make as much margin as they can. We keep, if our costs go up, our prices go up, but we keep a reasonable margin in place. And that's the sort of thing that you can benefit from if you work with distributors, is that you can get stock allocated when it's not available elsewhere, and you can get your pricing reasonably in control. But other than that, as Mike said, happy Christmas, everyone. Have a good New Year, and get in touch with me if you need anything. If you don't already have an account, get in touch with me or one of the guys, and we'll set you up.
Absolutely brilliant. I'll put links in the end of the show, as well as a podcast, just to let you all know, to obviously all these distributors' websites and so forth, so you can all get in contact with them if you wish. Michael, if you want to finish us off then.
Yeah, I think to William's point about can we sort of do this on a quarterly basis, I think we should. I think it's brilliant to create a platform whereby actually we can represent the distribution channel. I think the topic of us battling against each other, I think it's aged. I think it's gone. But I think talking about what distribution can offer and how we can work together, and I'd certainly commit Target to being an attendee at a quarterly event. I would encourage that it isn't always me. There are far better looking folk in Target that can use webcams and other such technologies. I'd certainly Corey and Scott and Vicky. We'd certainly be willing to come on the show and talk about a different myriad of topics. So I think it's a brilliant idea. About a thoroughly enjoyable hour, and Merry Christmas.
All right, thank you very much for that, Michael. So obviously we'll be in discussions with yourselves and other distributors. There were supposed to be actually a couple others on tonight, but they had to pull out due to them having Christmas parties and other reasons.
I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight in our panel, and also to our audience. Thank you for joining in and giving these guys a run for their money on your questions and comments.
That's it. And again, guys, before you do log out, if you haven't already, buy your TechMax tickets. I go on about it all the time, but if you buy them, you get to see these people. More people come, more vendors come. And obviously, it's one of those things that keeps on growing and growing and growing.
And also, if you haven't signed up to stand at TechMax, don't miss out. Every day, I'm taking new orders to stand at TechMax.
Mm-hmm.
And that means 1 or 2 3, 4, 5 more tables are going, and I've got room for maybe 100. And
107 total. Yeah.
yeah, that would be pushing it, but I want to go around 100.
Yeah.
Once they're gone though, and they're going quickly.
Yeah.
So you want to get signed up.
And the amount of tables we've actually done, we added up just before the show. Obviously, not all on the website yet because we're waiting for some paperwork to go through with different ones like Target, which are definitely coming, but just not on the website yet. We've actually sold 46 of the exhibition slots, so we're pretty much halfway there already. That's actually just one less than the amount of exhibitors we had for the first event. So we've nearly got the same amount as the first event already. And we're ahead of ourselves by around 15 from last year. So it looks like it's going to be good. And we've got some new names on there and a few I definitely want to shout out when the news comes through and payments come through and everything from
and
them
as
as well.
I said at the beginning of the show, Spire was wanting to join us this week. And Origins, which is Hits from CMS, former Gigabyte, and his boss Stewart and Norton, Pete Johnson from Bulldog formerly. So if you don't know people from there, well then some people.
Yeah, and Seasonic as well.
And yes, Seasonic is right, and of course it's Spire Technology. So yeah, we were really glad to have those guys.
So, right, guys, so this is the last show of the year. So, obviously, we'll have new schedule coming up next year. We're going to be sending out emails to a lot of distributors and vendors to stuff the booking quite early. So, hopefully, we can get a lot of stuff on the schedule for next year. So, just excuse Jen coughing at the moment. She's not had the best couple of weeks with a cold, but she's getting there. Right, guys, so thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all next time. So, see you later, everyone. Thanks again.